Welcome to my channel, which is called Frontend Topics. For now this is going to be the name. It could change in near future, but I think it's okay. And of course we are going to be talking about front-end topics. Today we are going to start with a specific pattern in React, which I think it's really common and at the same time very useful to understand. So this pattern, it's called composition. You will be using this pattern all over React, and so let's start with it. First, so let's say we have a dialogue. That dialogues are pretty common in frontend, and this dialogue will have a border and also a message and a title. So let's write some stuff. I am using a sandbox editor. It's the first time I'm using it, but I find it's like really cool for the things that we are showing today. So the first thing we always need is a div. At the right side you will be seeing errors. That's why we are editing the code, and it's like code sandbox. It's reloading the things each time I'm writing, so that's why you will see some errors here. So the first thing that we want here, for now we just want a title. Let's write something like this is our title. And then a message like welcome to Frontend. And that's it. That's our dialogue, and of course we need to render it. Dialogue. It's working. Okay, so for now our dialogue has a message, a title, and we also we said that we want our dialogue has a border. For this session I have some styles already created. Let me show them to you. So we will have a fancy border with some other classes that we can use, like fancy border blue, red, yellow. We also have some classes for the title and the messages. One thing that I didn't mention, I'm using React documentation, which is great, and that this example is from there, so you can find like a better explanation than the one that I'm doing right now here. Everything is really clear, and I just wanted to say thanks who brought this documentation, because it's awesome. And so we have all these CSS classes that we can use now in our file. So first let me check how it was called. Fancy dialog title and message. So we can use that here, title, and here class dialog message. That's okay. Dialog title, dialog message. I think it should be it's working. And also we want to add our classes for the fancy border. We have the fancy border and fancy border blue. Yes. Let me check something, because this is the dialog title. What happens if I remove this? Because I think it's not getting the dialog title. Yeah, it's getting it. So it's just dialog title. Yeah, okay. Dialog title, yes. Yeah, it should be working. Let me go back here. But let's change this title for something for like welcome. Here I think I know why, because I wanted to use an H1 here, and here I wanted also just text. We can represent that with a P. Okay, so once we have our dialog, here we can see that we have our fancy border blue and also our title and our message. That's fine. And now we also have other requirement to add a section. And this section will have also a border, which can be red, let's say, and it will have also a message. So we can copy this one and we can create our new section from here that has a fancy border red and just a message. Just let's remove this class because we don't want to have that class in our section. And let's write something like this is the section text, and we need to render that here. So let me write here div. Let's put the dialog and the section. Yeah, thanks, prettier. Okay, so now we have our two components, but if we take a look at them, we can see that we have some code repetition, which we all know that it's not a good pattern. We are repeating ourselves, and let's say that in near future we have other requirement to have other component and with a fancy border yellow. It's like we are pouring that logic in every component we have, and we can put all these fancy borders in a higher abstraction. So what if we create our own component called fancy border? So we can do something like that. So we create a fancy border component. For now, it's not going to receive any prop, and then returns something. So our fancy border, it's this thing. And here is where composition it's going to start. Why? Because now what we want here in this fancy border is that this can receive any component. The fancy border won't know anything about the things that he's wrapping. He will just know how to put colors to any component. So one thing that it's really cool about React is that we can do that using the children property. So as you may know, every component receives props, like for example class or title, I don't know, message, or any prop that you can imagine. And also it also receives the children. So let me write a really quick example. So we have our blah. Yeah, we don't need that. We have our blah component with a title, with a message. We close that, and here div, and then we close the blah component. So when we create our blah component, we are going to receive two kind of props. So yeah, in props we are going to have this type of props like title and message. This is going to be inside props, and also the property children, which has this div over here, this one. So something that it's also really common in React is to use destructuring. So here we don't write props, we destructor that props objects in all the props. We have title, message, and children. Okay, so after saying that, this fancy border we receive here the props, and inside that props we have the children props, yeah. And if we use destructuring, we can say children. Let me remove this thing here. Yeah, and it should work. Yeah, let me reduce the, yeah, that's better, I think. I hope you are seeing the screen. Yeah, but now we have to use that fancy border in the other component. So now we don't need this div anymore because this is not related to the dialog. But what we have to do now is to use our fancy border, and we do that in this way. Let me check. Yeah, that's working. And we also have to do the same with the section. Let me copy this here and here. Yeah, it's working. So in this way, our fancy border doesn't know anything about the things that it's wrapping, as I said before. It just knows how to put a border to any children it receives. So that's awesome, because we can create any component with a fancy border, and that's how composition works. But now we have a problem here, because if you check the screen here, the browser I mean, you have the same two components with the same colors, and that's not something good, because if you recall, our section was red before. So now we can use other props, like let's say here we want to have something like color, yeah, and this is red, no sorry, this is blue, and here we have color red, yeah. Okay, nothing changed, but now we have this property available here, and we can change this second class, which is a modifier, using the color prop. Let's do that in this way. Let me see. Yeah, this is JavaScript, so we have to use the curly brackets. Yeah, it's working. Nice. And yeah, let's say now that we have two different dialogues. This is a welcome dialogue. We have a warning dialogue. So we can write other dialogue, like a warning dialogue. Warning dialogue, but this time it is using, yeah, let's use yellow because it was available in our CSS classes. And yeah, oops, something went wrong. Yeah. Oh. And let's render that warning dialog here. Okay, so now we have both dialogues in our screen, but this is not pretty good, because if you check our warning dialog and our dialog, they are almost the same. And yeah, this is not anymore a dialogue, it's more like a welcome dialogue. But we are repeating ourselves once again. Yeah, let's remove the fancy border. We don't need that anymore. Not the fancy border, sorry. Let's remove the section. Yeah, now put the welcome dialog here. If you see here, we are repeating ourselves. Now the abstraction of the dialog, it's not really clear here, because yeah, I mean it's clear where the dialog is. It's this whole part, but what it's changing, it's the title and the message. So we can create an abstraction from that. What if we create our dialog? Copy that with now props, title and message, and here we don't couple our dialog to any message or to any title. We just allow this dialog to receive anything and just render that. So we can change here and also here, message. So here we have an abstraction, an abstract dialog which can render anything. Now here what we have to do is just to use that dialog. Yeah, in fact we can also receive the color, right? Yeah, and here we need to use the color. I think that's going to work. So now we have a welcome dialog which use a dialog with the title welcome and a message with a front nerd string. Yeah, that's great. Okay, and also we need a color for it, which is blue. Yeah, message, sorry. So this is more or less how we can, yeah, let's remove this here, let's put something went wrong. Here we put yellow. Yeah, everything is working once again. So now this is more or less like using this dialogue, but with some some kind of specialization, I think it's called, because we are using the dialogue and we pass to it specific properties which are hard-coded here. But the good thing is that we can have as many dialogues as we want. We are just giving them a name, and if, let's say, I don't know, we want other thing here in the future, we can also add that and then use a property for that, and we are reusing our code. And if you, we can say that more or less we are using, like, I don't want to mention this word, but it's like an inheritance in some point, but a better one, because we can have any type of dialogue, but it's not tied to anything. And here we have our composition of components using the children. And we can have more specification, like if we see the React documentation, there is a good example about using, let me check here, main concepts, composition versus inheritance. But what I wanted to show you is this thing. We can have components with that receive specific children. Let's say we have a children left and a children right, like in this case, and we can also do that. It's more or less the same, but we are giving a name to the children. In our case, we don't need that because we are just wrapping everything in a border, so we don't need that kind of a specification. So I hope this was clear enough, and see you next time on Front Nerd Topics. Bye.